Me, 30 male. With my wife, 27 female. Of 7 years, I want you to tell me not to read too much into this. My wife and I have had a good marriage of 7 years. There have been no serious issues over the time we have been together. We have a 6-year-old son as well. My story begins one night when my wife goes out with her friends for a local winter celebration that happens every year. It is very normal for us to socialize separately, and I was home with the kid. She came home at about 5 a.m., about a half hour before I had to leave for work, and this has been our agreement for a while. Generally, she stays out with her best friend, Emma, and then sleeps or just sobers up as much as possible at Emma's apartment before coming home. This has always been an option, and she has exercised it a few times a year for the last few years. Our house is quite a drive from where they are. I would go out for the night. All this was normal. I got up, I went to work, and I came home. I asked her about her night, and she told me all about it, all the people she saw and hung out with, her timeline, etc. Great. I am glad she got home safe, and I am glad she had fun. We had previously been on vacation on a Southeast Asian resort, and I had brought our little used tablet along on it. I had brought it to read on in lieu of an e-reader since I could also play a couple games on it. The night after she came home from going out, I opened it to continue a game I had begun to play on it. I opened the web browser first to check ESPN, and it went directly to her Facebook messages page, which she had logged in to check on a friend who was house sitting for us. We had had a limited internet package at the resort. This is where things took a weird turn. I could see she had messaged a new guy at work named Dale that she had mentioned a couple times the message. I had so much fun. I looked at it and couldn't help but to tap it. Here I discovered an alternate version of her night. There was nothing in the messages immediately alarming in terms of assuming something specific happened, but wow, were they uncomfortable to read as her husband. My issues in this moment are twofold. One, I can't say she lied to me, but she misrepresented her night. From their conversation, she quickly lost her long-term work friends, except for Emma, and had spent the night at a second bar with Dale and a couple of Dale's friends. She did mention running into Dale to me, but he was a footnote. From the messaging conversation, I can tell she basically spent the whole night with him and without the people she had highlighted. For 2. Her tone. Every sentence had 3 exclamation points. She told him she had so much fun multiple times. She pushed the conversation when it stalled. He did begin it with a message at 2 a.m. after they separated about a girl that gave my wife a hard time about them hanging out. But from when she woke up at 9 to when I got home for the next day, she pushed the entire conversation consistently. None of this is damning, but it got my attention and stayed in the back of my head for a couple days. I kind of wish I left it there, but I didn't. 2 nights later, I did something I have never even felt compelled to do. After she fell asleep, I grabbed her phone. I knew there wouldn't be anything with him since they were using Facebook, but I was curious about her texts with Emma. I was nervous and didn't feel like I had a lot of time, so I jumped into her conversation with Emma the day after. At first there was nothing about Dale, but about how a different guy I had never heard of had treated Emma. But then, out of nowhere, Emma asked my wife the following: "Do you think it will be awkward for you with Dale at work tomorrow?" He is so touchy. Lol. My wife answered, "I don't think it will be awkward, but he did message me in the middle of the night to apologize about that girl." They went back to talking about the guy giving Emma. Emma is married to someone else, by the way. No idea who this guy is. Before my wife texted Emma a picture of them and Dale, with my wife in the middle, face pressed against both of them, and my wife teasing Emma about looking like a different girl in the picture, a girl that had apparently slept with Dale, a fact that they had mocked Dale with. Then my wife said, and I quote, "I can't believe we got the guys to kiss." That was all of their conversation about him, but it was enough. Why would work with Dale be awkward? Why did my wife mention the message about the girl, but not about the fact that she had continued to happily and excitedly push the conversation after that? Duck. What could have happened? Touchy. Like he got upset about something, or he was physically all over her. Did she push him away when he got to touchy, and that is why it is awkward? Then why push the conversation with him so hard the next day? Whatever did happen, from how excitedly she was talking to him, she wasn't opposed to it. What then? I Saturday on this for a couple more days, alternating between trusting her and being uncomfortable. I decided I needed to know more, and I grabbed her phone after she was out cold a few nights later to try to read more. First I saw there was nothing more between her and Emma about him. So good. I scrolled up to about a month back in their convo, and just started reading to make myself feel better, and it worked. Nothing bad about me, and only 2 mentions of him. One when my wife hired him into that he had said at work that he felt that my wife and Emma were going out too early that night. Emma's follow-up to that was, "Lol, people go out even earlier than we do," so it didn't seem like anything more than a comment about something someone at work said. Then I got back to the stuff I had read originally about their night out, and I decided to read it again. It made me feel the same. But when I got the end, I realized the last line about teasing Dale about the girl he had slept with was gone. Of all of it, why delete that? On accident is all I could figure. On accident when deleting other texts. Earlier that day I mentioned to my wife that a friend had seen her at the second bar she had largely omitted from her story, to me to gauge a reaction. She seemed alarmed. But I pretended I couldn't remember who saw her, because no one did, and she dropped it very quickly. It occurred to me then that maybe the missing text I had read previously had been deleted in a purge of texts about my saying that. I got on my mobile account to see what sort of log there was of texting, and I was shocked at what I had found. First, I realized I could see all of her messaging app online just like that. Creepy. I could do this because her number was our primary account holder, and the number either of us would use to pay the bill, check for upgrades, or whatever. Second, I could see a text log. I could tell from referencing the text log to her messaging app that she had indeed deleted 12 texts to and from Emma in the time I was worried about. I couldn't find any other texts that were deleted after an hour or so of cross-referencing. At this point I felt like I was going insane, but I figured I went this far so might as well see it through. I logged back onto her Facebook. That very day she had sent him a picture of her that she claimed was when she looked better, at a much lighter weight. He said she looked better now, and sent her a similar weight loss picture. They had chatted back and forth about that until when I had came home. This was yesterday, and this has been about a week. I am very torn on all of this because I still feel like I can trust her, but I also know fell down a bit of a rabbit hole, and I also know this is largely of my own decision making. I should have never looked at any of this, but I did, and here I am. I am also afraid to confront her. I am both afraid to have been way off base and destroy a good marriage, but I am also afraid to alert her to my suspicion. If I did that, she could either end it without me ever knowing I was cheated on, or continue to pursue it aware that I am watching. I don't want her to have the upper hand if that is the case, but mostly I want you to tell me I am being stupid so I will stop. We have the same friends, so I can't really go to them. Reddit? Talk some sense into me. Thanks. Too long didn't read. Wife went out and told me a different story of the night versus what I found happened when I opened my tablet and found she had left herself logged into Messenger on it. I read too much, began snooping, and now I am suspicious. Tell me I am stupid. Hey guys, please like, comment, and subscribe. It would really help me out. Thanks. There are a lot of weird red flags here. You are not stupid. You do. However, need to ask her about this. Update me. 30 male, with my wife, 27 female. Of 7 years, I want you to tell me not to read too much into this. Wow guys, thanks for all the feedback. I got a varied measure of responses, but the idea that resonated with me best was continue to monitor. I felt like I had a hunch with some light evidence, but that I could very well have been forcing my evidence to fit with a hunch, so that is what I decided to do. It didn't last long. The next day after I posted this, my wife Emma came home and began talking about work. She mentioned Dale staying too close after someone else had called out, and she was grateful she didn't have to do it. I took the opportunity to ask about him. After a few light questions, I asked if he was gay since he works in a traditionally feminine position. She said no, he isn't gay, and then she hesitated and said maybe a little bi. I asked why, and she said her and Emma got him to kiss another guy when they were out the night all this started. I asked how she managed this, and she said by kissing Emma. I asked the following: so you kissed someone else for another man's pleasure? She was really caught off guard by the question and said she didn't think of it like that it was just something funny they got them to do. I asked how would you feel if I did the same thing, and yes, she said she saw my point. She pretty quickly conceded that it was not a good thing to do, and asked if I was mad. I was already annoyed with her because she had leaked a work detail I had told her accidentally to the wife of a coworker of mine that day, and had got me in some minor hot water. So I just told her it wasn't the end of the world, but I wanted a little space right that moment. She went into the bedroom, and I got to watch something interesting happen. She simultaneously started messaging Dale and Emma, which I was able to watch on my computer. To Emma she was saying all the right things. He is right. That was stupid. I'd be pissed. We didn't think it through. I feel terrible, etc. She was having a pretty epic breakdown in those texts, and only one thing annoyed me. At one point Emma said she was glad no one took a picture or a video, and my wife said something like, oh, don't even say that. And then my wife immediately deleted those to texts, which was both a frustrating reminder that she was deleting texts and a confusing moment because I have no idea why she'd delete those two at all. I checked the logs later to confirm she had deleted them, and it wasn't a syncing issue between apps. Dale's conversation was entirely work-related. In fact, it began with a 1-minute Facebook call from him and was her following up that he was able to get into a safe he needed to in order to close up. Then it veered into a conversation about how much he fit in, how much he preferred it to his other job, how much learning he had to do, etc. Nothing alarming. But she did end it by giving him her number so he didn't have to Facebook call her if she needs help. So, to recap, I am sitting in the other room really annoyed with her for kissing another girl for him. She is panicking to Emma about it in one message, and in another she is giving him her number at the exact same time. Got him it. But this is what proved so frustrating about all of this. She wasn't wrong to give him her number so he didn't have to Facebook call her for work help. But could you have any worse timing? So I did what any mature adult would do. I ignored her except for when I had to interact for 2 days. On the third day of largely being ignored, she went from sad to angry, so I asked her why she was mad. She said she knew I had been reading her texts. I told her she had been acting really sketchy, and she pointed out that I got really upset the one time she did this, a seriously insane but unrelated incident, and I again just said she had been acting sketchy. She asked why. So I laid everything out about her texts and what was bothering me. She told me I was overreading it, that yes, she had met Dale out and done the inappropriate kiss, but he was too silly, started being too touchy, so they left. I then asked why she spent the bulk of the next day messaging him about how much fun she had, and other inane things. Sent him a weight loss picture, a picture of her dinner, her phone number, and generally pushed conversations with him. She froze for a second and said she didn't know, and then said she messaged him so it wouldn't be awkward at work, because of how she left so abruptly with Emma. She said they had just been talking about exercise at work, so she sent him a picture of what she wanted to get back to. She's not big, by the way. She's pretty hot actually. And then her dinner because it was just a continuation of the conversation. And she also said she just gave him her number because of work. She also conceded very quickly that from my perspective, it all looked bad and that if the positions were reversed, she would be thinking the same exact thing of me. But she also stressed that I didn't see them at work. How she is always talking about me and our son. That she isn't attracted to him. She asked me repeatedly what she could do, but really I didn't know. I just wished I got to watch it play out longer. But she outsnooped me and figured out I was. I had needed a code to get into her messages, but had told her it was to look at Verizon's new unlimited plans when I had asked her for it. This tipped her off, and eventually she looked at my computer and found I was watching her messages. Now this is a little alarming to me too. Actually, because I had never done as much as snoop prior to this. Why wouldn't she have taken my request for the code for what I said I was doing? Why was her guard up? She says she was suspicious. I had looked in her phone when she was in the shower, so her guard was up from that. I can't remember if I did or what she is referring to, but I feel like that probably happened. She also explained away the text deletions by saying they were all talking to Emma about how she thought maybe I was looking at her texts. I know this isn't strictly true, because I saw her delete the weird glad no one took a pic texts, but it is plausible enough. She kept asking me what she could do and eventually deleted her messenger, but I told her that was pointless since she'd find a way, and had given him her number anyway. She told me to talk to him. To talk to Emma, but I said talking to him was just weird because I didn't believe he did anything wrong, and it would make her life weird, and that Emma would just tell me whatever my wife wanted her to tell anyway. So she kept stressing that she didn't do anything I didn't know about, that yes it looked bad, that she would do anything to fix it, and that there was nothing there. She told me to keep watching her stuff, that it was fine, she understood, etc. It left me in a weird spot. I feel like I have a fair mountain of evidence that something was starting, and I do believe in my gut she likes him. I even told her that if I was him, and having a girl message me like that, I would think she was a sure thing. But yet, all her explanations are plausible and I am completely certain nothing happened based on timelines I was able to clearly establish. I do feel she violated our trust, but I also know nothing more will come of it now. Unless it does, in which case she will just find new ways to hide it. For her part, she is able to explain about everything pretty logically, completely admit it looks wrong, but largely call it all a coincidence. After a couple more days of anger, I relented and said I would drop it. I have, but figured I'd leave this update. It isn't enough to end a good marriage, but it does feel weirdly unresolved to not get to know. Did I get caught catching her? Or is the sum less that its parts in this case? Too long didn't read, found out a little more detail about the night, got caught snooping, and after some bad days eventually decided to drop it. There is basically no trust left in this marriage, on either side. At this point the other guy is secondary ammo. Do you actually love, or even like each other? Why are you still trying? I don't think she cheated on you, dude, but she was about to. Now is that something you can live with? Husband. 31 male, of 12 years cheated on me. 30 female, for years throwaway because my husband and I share a Reddit account. A little bit of backstory. My husband and I have been together since we were 14 years old, and we know each other since my birth. We practically did everything together, and we're always there for each other all the time. There isn't a single issue that we haven't overcome together. Yesterday, He confessed he was cheating on me with another woman. It was after we finished having romance. He told me that they had been together for a long time and have kids together. Less than me and him, but still kids. He told me that he loves me and understand that if I wanted a divorce, because he betrayed my trust before he could say anything else, I told him to get out. I yelled and screamed at him to get out, but stopped when our baby, in the same room as us, started crying. I told him he needed to leave for the night and not come back until I said so. He left. I don't know where he is, but I received lots of texts of him wanting to talk this over and see if we can find a solution together. I am so angry and confused right now. All I want is my husband back, my best friend, but I also feel betrayed. All the trust we worked up over the years is gone. I have 4 kids with this man. What do I do? Too long, didn't read. Husband cheated on me for years, even to the point of having a child. He wants to work this out. Is that possible? What do I do? Find a solution. Seriously? Dump this guy. Get a divorce.